concur with the chairman here. We certainly don't want to be hostile here. This isn't a partisan issue, obviously. This is an American issue. We're all in this together trying to get it done. So trying to drill down, the chairman was trying to get at how long the people should have to wait. Do you have a goal? I mean, is there a stated goal that if somebody in New Jersey or Idaho or Utah or wherever, Nebraska, don't forget Nebraska. Do they get paid? Do they have? Yes, we have passports. All right. Anyway, what should be a reasonable expectation on a person's part? Forget everything else. Just from your experience, what should be? Is it something like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or what should the expectation be?
It's a little bit hard for me to answer that question. What we do is we try to give the American public an accurate, just an accurate picture of how long it will take, so that they can plan their travel, and so that they don't make plans without checking their passport.
So when you give those expectations to the American public, what is that expectation? That's what we're after. What are you giving to the American public as that expectation?
The expectation right now is the processing time. It's 10 to 13 weeks. And I know that you're trying to get at what's our goal, what is reasonable,
Sure.
What is the shortest number. And what I'd like to do is check and see what it was before the pandemic. But I will say that passport demand is seasonal. And there are times during the year where it's higher and times during the year where it's lower. And we have consistently and historically let American citizens know how long our processing takes. I think the challenge that we're facing now, and that we hear from your constituents and we hear very clearly from you.
So do we.
I know. Is that the timing, we have an overwhelming demand right now. And so in giving an accurate portrait of the travel time, it is just more than people are expecting.
You know, I think one thing that might be helpful is I find when somebody calls in and I chat with them, they are totally taken aback at how long it takes. And they say, well, you know, we didn't hear anything about this. And I think that's a fair statement by them, in that I know the department wants to get the word out. You certainly do. Now, maybe you ought to do it in public service announcements or something, but there needs to be a better penetration into the American public psyche about how long it takes for the passports. Those of us that move in these kind of circles, we understand this, but the average person who maybe goes to Europe once in their life and needs a passport, they don't think about it until it becomes a problem. So maybe some penetration there would help. And I understand you're getting over the backlog. I get that. But in any event, I think it's going to take more. There's no question about it. I appreciate your comment about the 6,000 work visas for Idahoans, but that's a drop in the bucket. With, you know, we're 2 million people, and there's a lot more need there. I only got a short time left, but a lot of us were very concerned about what happened in Sudan. As you know, there was a considerable criticism for the State Department and how that was handled. Can you give us a thumbnail executive summary of what you think went wrong there? And admittedly, some things went right, but nobody focuses on that. They focus on what went wrong. So that's what I want to hear about.
Thank you. You know, I appreciate your asking the question. It was a very difficult situation in Sudan, as I think that you know.
Has been for a long time.
Right, and I appreciate your mentioning that. We've been advising Americans not to go to Sudan for a long time. In fact, if they were there, to leave. The situation evolved very, very quickly. What I will say about this evacuation is that it was really a true multinational effort, and it assured the safe departure of 2,000 American citizens, family members, and others, as well as thousands of nationals of other countries. We facilitated, I think, as you know, 3 overland convoys, and we also worked with our partners and allies to make sure that U.S. citizens were able to access Allied flights that went out of the airport. It took considerable diplomatic effort to make sure that we were able to conduct these evacuations and able to make the airport safe, so that American citizens could leave that way with the assistance of our partners and allies. And, it was an unusual situation that it was really, truly multinational. And so whether an American citizen left on a flight that had a British flag on it or a French flag on it, they left with the assistance of the United States government and the facilitation of our task force and our folks on the ground. I want to highlight one thing that I think is important. Our land convoys are really, really important for American citizens. I know that you're aware that American citizens often are closely related to non-American citizens. And that's why in many instances, even though we advise American citizens to leave, it's really difficult for them to do so. Because they don't want to leave extended family members or even close family members who might not be documented for onward travel to the United States. The convoys really helped those people to get to safety from Khartoum to Port Sudan. And they might not have been able to leave otherwise. It might have been difficult for them to get on flights that would have to land in a third country. So it was a really important tool for us and also for our partners and allies.
Thank you. My time's up. Just let me say, one of the things my staff has been after, as you know, trying to get your input as to what plans you have for future situations like this that happen in the area, and we haven't gotten that yet. So I hope you'll double your efforts to get back to them on those inquiries. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.